welcome to our session at Charterpreneur. We are all very happy to have you here. And to welcome our speaker for the day, his name is Prajwal Ajay, and he's a qualified chartered accountant and the founder and CEO of Gordian Technologies. Hope I'm getting the name right, Prajwal.
Yes, it's Gordian Technologies.
Perfect,
You're
perfect.
absolutely right.
So let's know more about Prajwal, his journey as a CA and later as an entrepreneur. Yeah. So to begin with, so Prajwal, please share something about yourself, briefly about your CA journey and why did you actually choose this course while being in Bangalore, in fact, and not something with tech or engineering in the first place?
So my life has been a complete roller coaster of sorts. I've been jumping from things to things forever. It's never been uh, like one straight line sort of a thing. I jump from I was in science till 12th grade. I was in IIT integrated, to be honest, but never studied those 2 years. It just gone into college, 11th and 12th grade, and then barely. I mean, I can still remember the number of days I spent on my second PU finals. So I think maybe a couple of weeks. And then I just realized that maybe I need to do something with my life now, turn it around. And there were a lot of options on the table. One of those options was CA. I was just like, okay, why not? Like, I'm okay with jumping things anyway. And then at that point of time, it was basically IITs and IITs or nothing. But again, I hadn't opened a book called Did I Know My Syllabus for the same. So I was like, this doesn't make sense for me to actually go down the path. And that's when I started my journey of CA. And then I just went and enrolled in a BCom college. Like there's this college in Bangalore called Jain College. And then they had an integrated course with a tuition called Yash's Academy here in Bangalore. And I don't know, like met, I think happened to go to this brilliant academy for CPT that Yash's was like insane in terms of couple of teachers who gave me the entire, I don't know, I love basics and concepts. I don't think I've drawn a balance sheet till date. If you not even any of my papers, I've never finished a balance sheet. I've never actually written down and drawn a balance sheet per se. But for me, concepts are extremely crucial. I like less of the repetitive tasks. I'm like, okay, now I like it becomes extremely crucial for me to understand each and every parts of like your expenses, this thing, and how each of your journal entry works. But apart from that, I imagine the entire flow and just let it be. That's how I've worked. And that really I saw some vibe with one or two teachers there at Yesh's where really got me hooked on to see as a profession because these guys just made me fall in love with the subjects. I just thought, okay, cool, now this is what it is. And I think, writing my BCom exams when I just decided against continuing BCom and I dropped out of college. Like I was just like, okay, this is not worth it. I don't know what I'm doing. I think this is unnecessary in terms of just writing exams and because we were literally writing exams, right? That's part
Absolutely.
of your CA thing. Like
Absolutely.
you're not attending college, you're not getting any additional exposure in terms of whatever. And this was before I had started my IPCC or something. This was after CPT, I guess. Second sem is when I dropped out of BCom when I had one exam paper left. And so yeah, I'm still not a BCom graduate. And yeah, that was my journey. Then I joined PwC, and after PwC, basically the CA finals happened, finished it, and then I have been having a list of ideas since I've been 19, 18, whatever it is, that I want to start off like random ideas. It can be something. My first idea was ink eraser. So I was like an ink eraser that actually works. I was like, okay, like what if like an ink eraser works as easy as your pen? So it's as foolish as that. So I've been maintaining a list of ideas since then. And once I finished CA, I was like, okay, maybe I need to start something. Not maybe, definitely have to start something. And that's when I literally went and sat with multiple friends of mine at each point of time. For 3 months, that's all I did. I just went, sat, and discussed various ideas, pros, cons, etc. Made lists, and thought this was the most relevant, and then a little close to my heart. So I just started off Gordian.
One note that we can take here is that not all ideas that you're going to get in your mind will be doable or will be feasible. So one thing we can learn here
Right.
is to take down that list, to note down that all sorts of
Exactly.
ideas which are hitting our mind, and have that discussion with a group of people over that. Once we do that,
Right.
then I think we'll be able to come with something which will just touch our heart, and which we'll be really
Exactly.
passionate about. And then that one thing, if
Right.
clicks, we are good to go. So thank you, Prajwal, for that. So, but you took a plunge into entrepreneurship world right after becoming a CA. So, were you sure about this since the very beginning, or during your CA journey only you thought of this idea?
The idea was thought of during CA finals when I was
Okay.
writing, because I was like, I have nothing better to do than to think of ideas while studying for CA finals. So
Okay.
I was like, I kept reading a lot about CBSE paper leaks, and I thought this is some problem which can be solved, especially if it's happening during transit. And I was like, okay, if just a dabba that unlocks through an OTP can solve this problem, why not? And I had written that idea down, saying a box that unlocks through an OTP, and that was about it. But I kept thinking more about the problem, because the more you're holed up in a room studying, the more your mind wanders off to new things. And that's when I kept thinking more and more about this. And I had a lot of experience with e-commerce very early on. Very early on, at least for me, I had figured out how this entire buying, selling on this thing. So basically, what I used to do, this was very early in terms of e-commerce. I think 2014, if I'm not wrong, where pre-Geo, pre-smartphones, it was still there. It was still relevant. That's when your whole big billion day sales and all of them were starting. That was the first year or something. So I saw a lot of market there. So what I did was I used to just print out really cool posters in my corner printing shop for $8 and then sell them for $200. I made a few lakhs of it every month,
Wow.
just on that. And then I did that for a few months, and then I knew how many returns we used to get randomly, saying it's a fake. Like, they used to receive a poster and then they used to send something else, paperback, or they used to do whatever and then claim returns. And I knew this was a problem there. And then I'd help my parents set up their entire business online. So I knew what percentage of returns were fake, what percentage of returns were just like scams by buyers, and how much Flipkart was taking a hit for that. Flipkart, Amazon. And I had also done this thing called call and order, where this was during my first year of articleship, I guess, where basically um, this was again like pre-geo, pre-smartphone, where everyone has a phone, everyone has the data packs were 250 rupees per GB or $300 per GB time, where not most people didn't have it. So at this point of time, a lot of people found it difficult to place orders online on Flipkart, Amazon, especially the older generation and the rural population. So I set up a helpline where people can just call and say that I want a phone which is of, say, whatever, 2 GB RAM, this specification in terms of size, blah blah blah. And then we used to find the phone. Being me, I used to find the phone and place an order for them, and I used to get paid by Amazon and Flipkart through affiliate commissions. So I set up that entire thing, and through that journey also I realized. So I've dabbled with e-commerce for a while, so I knew that there's a lot of losses, there's a lot of transit security problems, etc., etc. So I thought, like, maybe this problem is just bigger than examination papers, and that's when I decided to work on it.
So all of this your journey, before Gordian was during your CA journey only, or even before that?
The posters was a little before that, I think.
Okay.
I think I just started my CPT or something, I'm not sure. But the call order was when I was actually at PwC, and then it was on the side. I tried to find someone to answer calls, etc. But then I used to, once they answer calls and they tell me, okay, this, and then I'm like on the side trying to find a product and try and tell them. So there was some overlap, but again, like, it was all trial and error for me. Never like made some money off it, but it was more to understand the market for me and just to get an experience. Made posters, made I don't know, made a Facebook page, added all my friends, hold these posters, stand everywhere across whatever. Did the whole gimmicks and then like bulk SMS marketing, whatever. I just wanted to dabble with everything and try and implement concepts that I knew or ideas that I had, and that was main intention.
Sounds very interesting. So, one more learning out of here is that everything you put your hands on, cannot be that one thing that you would like to pursue.
Right.
You can, get a lot of experiences out of multiple gigs during your, as
Exactly.
side gigs or during your studies. Like, for example, what we are also doing, apart from our
Mhm.
CA profession, we are trying to run Charterpreneur,
Right.
though all of us have that aspiration, to take it somewhere, but we don't know where it'll go. But then during this
Right.
time, the learnings that we are getting are, so valuable, so crucial that they'll stay with us towards our next set of ventures as well. Yeah.
Right.
So
Definitely.
sounds
Definitely.
interesting. So give our audience a brief about Gordian Technologies. So what Prajwal does is, so he runs a platform for hyperlocal deliveries, and in the city of Bangalore, where high value items, for example, gold jewelry, confidential items get delivered in a box, which can only be opened via an OTP. So your stuff is secured and no one can misuse it during transit. Hope I'm right, Prajwal, with that
Yeah,
explanation.
that's exactly how it works. That's exactly how
Perfect.
it works. And thank you for taking uh, the energy out of me that normally goes. And yeah,
Because I have also done something of this sort, so I can very much relate to it. What
what
we
was
were
your
doing,
experience into it? Yeah.
it was awesome. So I started with the Chatpat logistics while I was in class 12. So it was extension
Okay.
to a entrepreneurship program which I did, and post
Hmm.
that we had to prepare a business plan that was just on paper.
Right.
But because we were extra
Right.
passionate and extra curious and extra interested in it, me and one of my co-founders, we started with that business real time in class 12
Okay.
and took it to a level.
Interesting.
We were doing this somewhere close to 2.5 lakh of revenue per month in Delhi
Nice.
NCR, and we were delivering all sorts of stuff for small and medium enterprises. So the experience was good, but
Right.
it has a lot of struggle behind the scenes in this entire logistics space, managing that fleet
Yeah.
of say 20,
Yeah.
25 delivery executives and taking orders and a lot of that stuff. So that's
Right.
something I can relate with you on. So
Did you
basically,
guys
yeah.
build the entire tech around it?
No, no,
Was
no.
it?
So we
It
were we
was
were
all
doing it
manual
simply
and
manually. Yes, we were doing it very manually at that point because it was a bootstrapped thing and we were all students. So just
right.
from our own pockets.
Nice.
So
Good stuff.
one more question, Prajwal, that being from a non-tech background, for example,
Mhm.
you didn't study engineering, right?
Right. I
After
didn't.
12. So how did you come up with this technology and how did you come across the right set of people to build it for you? For example, that box or the algorithms behind it.
So I mean, it's a long journey. It took me almost 2 months to even figure out the kind of engineers that will be required for this thing, because there's electronics in this, there's embedded hardware, firmware, there is backend software to manage all this. There's the physical aspect of the box itself. That's a mechanical concept of mechanical
Yeah.
design that is involved, and you have a user app, you have a web app, you have a website, and then you also have an application basically to manage your delivery fleet, assign orders automatically, routing, mapping, management, sign in, delivery executives. All that is there. Apart from that, you have your embedded piece, which is the hard disk, where you're building an entire. Um, I don't think I have a PCB lying around, but I could have showed you one. So basically, this entire, if you remember in computers, they used to say motherboard, where that green color thing is there. So we had to build all that out from scratch, including the design of it, and then the power modules, so the code for it, etc. And then um, yeah, so it was a long journey, I would say. Initially, for almost 8 months, I was very particular about not discussing the idea with anyone. Very naive of me. Looking back, a lot of people told me that, it's a bad step. Just go out there and talk about your idea to everyone. But at that point of time, it felt like everything would collapse with just the idea getting leaked. leaked in quotes, because again, I think it's best. Like if anyone asks me right now, I would have done it differently in terms of just going and knocking on people's doors right from the day one, with whatever technology that you can build or that is currently there, and proving that this need exists, and then scaling further. But having said that, at that point of time, thankfully had a friend's dad who was building GPS trackers for his company. So got some head start there and started understanding electronics there, and then we started building the first version of prototype there. Before that, I met a student at BMS, asked him to make out a prototype with an Arduino board, and then he had worked on something else and he tweaked that in. And then so basically my first prototype was just to see that a lock can unlock based on an OTP that comes to a phone. So we just put a SIM card in it, sent an SMS to the phone, and then an OTP was randomly generated, and then we unlocked it. And then I was like, okay, this can work now. How do you make this bigger? How do you make this into a product? And that was a journey that took almost 2 years for me. It could have taken way lesser with a co-founder. But for me, it was more about the hustle, the grind, and building something of my own, than to just have someone else figure things out. Goes against all the principles of how a startup should be run. Get a co-founder. This thing, normally, if I'll have to tell anyone else, I'd be like, please get a co-founder, please build an MVP, please scale after that. Don't waste your time. Time is crucial, etc. But at that point of time, it was very crucial for my first startup to be something that is not in the market. I wanted to create a new market. I wanted to create a new product. I wanted to basically go through the grind myself and hopefully change markets for the better. So that was the idea.
So one more learning we can have here is that though it is okay to run as a solopreneur, as a solo founder, but then when you have a co-founder, definitely things get a little easier, because the tasks get divided. Someone can take care of the tech, someone can take care of the customer, someone can take care of the marketing. But when you are fighting that battle alone, you are the lone wolf. Everything comes down on you. You have to take care of A to Z everything. Yeah. And then also one more learning, that we can always try to share, until and unless it's some high-end technology which requires to be patented. We can definitely go out and share more with others about our ideas, because definitely the people who are more experienced or have something of that sort in the past can give us their insights, because life is too short to keep on failing again and again and learn from our own mistakes. If we can learn from others' mistakes, that very much sorts things out for us.
Yeah, so, more than the experts, I would suggest go talk to your customers, because experts are I have a lot of mentors and I respect their I go to them from time to time. I have discussions. Without them, running this would have been super difficult. Having said that, they can give you only limited insight based on their experience. So go out there to your customers and knock on anyone's door and try and understand to whatever extent what they need, and that makes your life simpler.
So coming down to customers, because you're dealing with stuff which is confidential or high value, for example jewelry sets or gold, for that example, how are you able to gather that trust of people? Like, how would they trust your product, your company, your services with their valuables?
Right, it's a continuous journey, right? I don't think it's like we can establish trust overnight. It's a mix of multiple things. One is your credentials in terms of the company. Ours is registered. We're incubated at NASCOM, IMB, the Startup India, Startup Karnataka. All this gives some sort of validation for them. That is one bit. If you look at, then the second bit is a product and tech itself. So when they actually, we make it absolutely mandatory that any business who works with us gets a demo where a team goes and actually shows the OTP working, and then they try it out. They put wrong OTPs and try it out. They're like, we show them tracking on the device, on the dashboard, and we build in confidence in that. And also the last thing is, no matter what you do, people will always have that what if. And that's where we worked on getting an insurance policy for a long time, because it took me almost 6 to 8 months of knocking on every insurer and every broker's door to actually get someone to underwrite our risk. And finally, ICICI was able to underwrite our risk, and then basically all our deliveries are insured, especially for jewelry and all the high value items. Um, your consumer deliveries are not insured because of the whole a lot. The game itself is a little different, because I can maybe give a stone and say that it's gold, and then later say that your delivery guy did it, and it's a whole hassle. So we don't get into the whole consumer side of insurance. But again, your businesses, they have some credibility, they have some this thing, so insurers are ready to underwrite that risk. So that's where so it's like an entire four-legged process that we do for establishing trust.
That perseverance is again, very, very important, and one of the takeaways that we can take. So, as he shared that he had to, go on for 6 to 8 months to convince insurance companies when, we are convinced about our product, but we need to gather that trust of people. So that perseverance is very important. If at any point we, show lack of conviction in our product, in our business, then outsiders will definitely, not trust us, right?
Right, exactly. So,
Right.
and try different ways. Yeah, it's not like one guy worked. I was trying to knock on one insurance broker who said he has his family connections, etc., etc. Family's been in the business for 30 years. I was like, okay. Then I was just like, okay, this guy's not working out, because he kept saying these insurers will let us know. Then we had to actually go out and knock the doors of our networks, right? Our NASCOM networks, our IMB networks. Spoke to a lot of people there, and then from that, oh, one of the NASCOM groups has Tata. Uh, he was vice president of Tata, if I'm not wrong. So he put me in touch with the head of some insurance broker, and that's where the connection was made. And that after that, once the referral came from there, it became a little easier. So try and tap into your networks as much as possible, and look for alternative ways to solve the problem if the problem needs to be solved. Yeah.
Definitely. So, moving down again to tech. So, with the increasing scope of deep tech, ML, big data, IoT, and with the high number of startups emerging in this space, so how can CA students or members, learn more about it, provided that, they are coming from finance or commerce background throughout their journey of studies?
So I think having an open mind is extremely crucial. CA kind of prepares for it, I would say, especially if you're inquisitive and you want to actually learn the concept than just pass the exam. If you want to pass the exam, there are 1,000 ways. But if you want to actually learn something, that is a little more trickier. So as long as you're inquisitive and ask why this has to be this. If someone is saying expense has to be debited, the day you ask why expense has to be debited and not credited is the day you actually realize that this kind of thought process will help you across life. And if you're able to learn that, and if you're able to ask those kind of questions at any point of time in your life, you can pick up on anything. And now if you're looking at that, is a mindset thing, and that mindset is extremely crucial. Only if you have the mindset to learn new things, irrespective of whether it's your like course of study or etc., your journey, only then can you do it. If you can't do it, then it's extremely difficult. So first change your mindset, and second, then there are like lots of courses, lots of, depending upon like what is your interest, there are a lot of product manager roles that are coming up where the pay is crazy, and the overall of things is crucial. You don't have to be a techie there, but you still need to be able to put together things and then understand how things work. You need to understand how flow of information works, and how to basically think of features, your um, product development life cycle, put features and move things around. And I mean, it's an entire field, but if you're specifically looking at specializing in these fields, I don't know if I would want to do that after um, being a qualified CA, because I think the whole charm of being a CA is you have the knowledge of everything. You are more knowledgeable than most people in your field. So you would not want to let that go and start from scratch somewhere else. If your interest is there, start from right now, in whatever field you're interested in. However, if you finish CA and then you get interested in IoT, might as well. Like, then no one is stopping you. Then go out and then start. I'm just saying, if your interest is already there and if you're like very sure that this is what I want to learn, I would not like, because at the end of the day, CA is just going to help you and give you an overall frame of understanding, but it's not going to prepare you for understanding dogs, and it's not going to understand, like, you're going to get some sense, but you're still not be able to like build ML models or like build embedded modules and etc. Right? So that requires specialization. So if you want to specialize, you can definitely start specializing. But if you want to do something like me, I still don't write code, but I understand code. I understand the flow of code. I can visualize everything. I find bugs without actually writing code. Like, I mean, not bugs in the sense like in the code, but I can point to where it might be breaking and stuff and have conversations around it. And I can come to that level of this thing. And then I understand the entire way these modules work, the ICs communicate, the way the code needs to be dumped. I mean, I have dumped code so many times. I've tested everything, and then all that can be picked up. But again, I'm not a special, I don't have specialization in it, right? So if I'll have to build that entire circuit by myself, maybe there's a better guy who's more qualified, who takes lesser time to do it. And best part about you doing CA is you'll learn how to make the best use of everyone that is around you. And that is the key takeaway for me.
Two things from your answer are that that you need to be very, very inquisitive to learn the things out of your way. Yeah. So like,
Right.
for example, if you're doing CA, no one's going to come and teach you IoT, but you need to go out if you're really interested, to have that interest, to have that curiosity and learn on it own, on your own. And second is that even if you're not an expert, but you can visualize, but you can imagine how you want your product or your service to look like, you can definitely hire someone who's way better than you at it. And once you're able to explain that your vision to that person, he or she can might as well build that for you. So we should not hesitate before hiring experts for any of the services that we require in building our business.
Exactly. I think like one of the best things I've ever heard is always hire people smarter than you.
Absolutely.
Because if you're able to convince people who are smarter than you to work with you, there's no better thing that you can do.
Absolutely. I've also read that somewhere. Wonderful. So, Prajwal, coming to your, organization. So, how many people are there in your team currently, and what's your, vision for the next 2-3 years? Like, would you want to stick to Bangalore as of now, or you think of expanding to other cities, other states as well in the near future?
So, in terms of team, the core team has 4 members. Then the extended team has around 10 people. So now in terms of the market that we want to capture, right now, Bangalore is more of a proof of concept for us, where you make this, you validate the idea, you demonstrate scale, you demonstrate some sort of PMF, and then you translate the learnings and then go out to Mumbai, because Mumbai is a bigger market, Delhi is a bigger market for jewelry. And they're like way too many markets that, I mean, we get requests across the country for them to basically, for them asking us, when are you coming here? Again, it's a matter of volume that we can capture, the number of orders that we can do, how do you manage risks, and a lot of other concerns go into a new geographical territory. So, and I mean, YC has been extremely instrumental in talking about these points, where they're like, don't expand before you've exhausted your market. Go to your right market and try and exhaust that market before you move on to a new market. So if we are able to exhaust Bangalore maybe in the next 3 months, we'll be in Mumbai immediately after that.
Wonderful. Yeah. Best wishes from our
Thank you.
entire team. Wonderful. So, one more question. So, during the last, couple of years that you've been running your venture, did you ever feel that was it too early, or did you ever feel that you should have taken a little more experience with any established brand or an established company, or is it going good?
I mean, it's a tricky question, yeah. So I was very sure as soon as I cleared that I wanted CA as my backup. That was for sure. So I didn't want to focus, especially I shut down Colorado, I shut down everything that I was doing mainly for that reason. I was just like, PwC was taking away too much of my time, mental health, everything, right? So it's like you have energy for nothing else other than your social life and your firm. Like working 10 14 hours a day was normal, and then your audit cycles are like extremely stressful, all that, yeah. So we were like, I was very clear that only after CA will I start doing something, and was very clear that after CA I'm not going to work anywhere else. I'm just going to start something of my own. And that was when I was like, okay, cool. But then during the journey, have I felt if I worked somewhere else? um Not really. Like I think like if uh, an organization can teach you things, but most of the things I've learned have been on the job. I've picked it up on my own. The only thing that I would have done differently, or multiple things I would have done differently, but related to this question, is basically get co-founders, get people with a lot more experience building things very early on, because I could have avoided a lot of costly mistakes very early on in terms of people, in terms of time, in terms of everything else. That's the only thing I would do differently, I guess. But in terms of just getting, I think you can learn. The world is ready to teach. All you have to do is ask. Anyone is ready to teach. Like you just go and knock on anyone's door and tell them, hey, I really want to learn this. I've already done so and so research. Will you be able to help me? uh, no one says no. And even if they say no, it's okay, you tried. Now ask another person. Go and knock 1,000 doors before you get one yes. So I have found some incredible people who have so much patience to just teach um, and explain concepts I didn't understand back in front end server, DevOps, CI/CD pipelines. Nothing. Like when I started talking to these guys, I'm like, I need an app. Now give me an app. They're like, you want it an hybrid app, you want it to be like native apps, you want it to be
Mhm.
like, how do you want it, like what do you need? Like, I don't know, I just need an app, I need a website. Now how do we do this? And then you ask, and then you ask like, what would you recommend, what do you think, what is hybrid, what is native app, what is DevOps, what are pipelines, why do you need it, and where do you host it, what is hosting, what is AWS, what is this Azure, and what is different things. Once you start asking these questions, people more often than not explain. And especially if they think you're actually interested in not asking for the sake of it, they actually explain. And that's how I've learned everything that I've learned. It's nothing has been taught anywhere. I'm not taken courses, but it's just asking people, having the patience to read. I've spent hours reading online. You want to start digital marketing, you can't be like, okay, I need a course to learn this. And no amount of experience, especially for a startup guy, you're going to be doing everything. You're
Yeah,
going to be handling, I mean, there is literally nothing you wouldn't touch upon.
yeah.
So you got to learn everything on the job. You have to be making pitch decks one day, next day maybe you're making, I don't know, like designs for some random poster that has to go out. Yeah, so you need to be flexible in terms of learning, and a couple of years of job is never going to help you get that. It's going to get you
Wonderful.
some money for you to get that,
Yeah.
but in terms of experience, your articleship is more than enough. Like I think like they'll grind you enough, like especially if you've gone to the big four or the firms which actually give you exposure over multiple facets of things. They grind you enough for you to like learn a lot of things. And I would say that is a good experience. If you don't have articleship experience, please go out and get some experience somewhere. But if because it can, I'm not saying big four is something great, it's not. Medium sized firms, or any firm, basically any firm which gives you learning, and it's just not like a very manual thing where they're just doing it for the sake of it, where you're just like going in, sitting, doing some vouching for a couple of hours and coming out. If you're not doing that, and if you're actually learning something, and if you're asking questions again, even at work, always ask questions wherever it is. Like that really, really helps.
Genuinely, seeing your confidence, your conviction, and seeking spirit, I'm really thrilled. This is my, key takeaway from this entire session, that I need to learn only by asking more and more, from everyone around me. Thank you. So I think, as well, before concluding, any final piece of advice for all the young entrepreneurs, present on this call today?
Uh, you guys taking your time out on a Sunday itself is a long step in your journey, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm just starting out. I think like I have a long way to go, and you guys are already ahead of me, because I see you guys spending your Sunday way more fruitfully than I am, and that itself is a testament to where all of you will get. And I really think there's a long way to go. There's a long journey for everyone. And as long as you're on the right path, you'll get there. And that's my 2 cents.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Prajwal, for taking out time out of your schedule to, have a word with all of us. Thank you so much. And thank you for the entire, audience for taking out time on a Sunday afternoon and come and seek what Prajwal had to share. Thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful session. I could personally learn a lot. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everyone.